Captain Lee Dae-ho stood on the bridge of the research vessel Harmony's Edge, watching the stars through the main screen. The ship moved slowly through space toward Zephyr Station. This was supposed to be a simple mission. They were scientists and diplomats, not soldiers. Their job was to learn about new alien species and help build peace in the galaxy. Dr. Park Bo-ra walked up to him with a data pad in her hands. She was the best xenobiologist in human space, and she loved meeting new alien races. Her eyes were bright with excitement. Captain, the readings from Zephyr Station are amazing. There are 12 different species there right now. Some we have never seen before, she said. Lee smiled at her enthusiasm. That's why we're here, Doctor. To learn and make friends. Commander Kim Tae-woo, their military advisor, was not as happy. He had been in the military for 20 years and he did not trust aliens easily. He stood near the weapon controls, even though the ship only had basic defenses. Captain, something feels wrong about this mission. Why did they invite us to this meeting so suddenly? Kim asked. Lee looked at him with calm eyes. Commander, we must trust the Galactic Council. They said they want to discuss trade agreements and cultural exchange. This is what we have worked for. Far away in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, alien leaders were making a terrible decision. The hall was huge and dark, filled with creatures from across the galaxy. At the center sat the Velthari Emperor, a being with 6 arms and silver skin that glowed in the dim light. The humans have grown too strong too fast, the Emperor said, his voice echoing through the hall. In only 50 years they have built colonies on 30 worlds. Their technology advances every day. Soon they will challenge our power. A reptilian creature from the Skatar Empire hissed in agreement. They are dangerous. On their homeworld they were the top hunters. They killed everything that threatened them. Now they bring that nature to space. But they seem peaceful, said a small bird-like alien from the Chirrut Federation. Their diplomats are polite. Their scientists share knowledge freely. The Emperor's eyes glowed brighter. That is what makes them dangerous. They hide their true nature behind smiles and kind words. We must test them. We must see what they really are when pushed to their limits. An old wise-looking alien stood up slowly. He was from the Kethmori, one of the oldest races in the galaxy. His people had been studying humans since first contact. This is a mistake, the old alien said, his voice shaking with age and fear. My people have watched the humans carefully. We have seen their history. They are kind to friends but terrible to enemies. There are old warnings in our archives, ancient texts that say, "Never wake the sleeping giants from Sol." We should not test them. The Emperor laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Your people are weak, old one. You fear shadows and ancient stories. We will test the humans, and we will learn their breaking point. Then we will control them. The vote was called. Most of the council voted yes. Only the Kethmori and a few other small races voted no. The decision was made. They would test humanity. Back on the Harmony's Edge, Captain Lee was in his ready room when the alarm sounded. He rushed to the bridge where chaos waited for him. The main screen showed 20 alien warships surrounding them. They had appeared from nowhere, using some kind of stealth technology. Captain, they're jamming our communications, reported the communications officer, Lieutenant Jiang Min-soo. His hands moved quickly over his controls, trying to send a message to Earth. Incoming transmission, said another officer. The screen changed to show the Velthari Emperor. His silver face looked cold and cruel. Human vessel, you are now prisoners of the Galactic Council. You will surrender immediately. Your ship and crew will be used for testing purposes. Do not resist. Lee stood straight, his face calm despite the danger. Behind him, his crew looked scared, but ready to follow his orders. This is Captain Lee Dae-ho of the human research vessel, Harmony's Edge. We are scientists and diplomats. We came here in peace under the protection of galactic law. What you are doing is an act of war. The Emperor smiled, showing sharp teeth. There is no war, human. This is simply a test. We want to see what you really are beneath your polite words. Dr. Park stepped forward, her voice shaking but determined. We have families. We have children waiting for us to come home. Please, let us go. Your emotional responses are already being recorded, the Emperor said. Surrender now, or we will destroy your ship and take the survivors anyway. Commander Kim moved to Lee's side. His hand was on his weapon, even though he knew it was useless against 20 warships. Captain, orders? He asked quietly. Lee looked around at his crew. These were good people. Scientists, doctors, engineers, diplomats. They had come to space to build a better future for humanity and all species. They did not deserve this. He activated the ship's intercom so all 347 crew members could hear him. This is the captain. We are about to be captured by hostile forces. Remember who we are. Remember why we came to the stars. We came in peace. We came to learn and to help others. Whatever happens next, we will face it together. We will not lose our humanity. He turned back to the screen where the Emperor waited. We will not resist. But know this. We are research scientists and diplomats. We came in peace, remember that. The Emperor laughed again. Your peaceful nature will be the first thing we test. As the alien ships moved closer, Lee quietly activated a hidden system. A quantum beacon, designed to activate only in the worst emergency, sent a single message across the galaxy to Earth. The message was simple but would change everything. Help us. The last thing Lee saw before the aliens boarded his ship was the stars. The same stars that shone down on Earth where humanity slept peacefully, unaware that their children were in danger. But not for long. The aliens had made their choice. They wanted to test humanity. They wanted to see what humans really were when, pushed beyond their limits, they were about to find out, and they would regret it for the rest of their very short lives. The quantum beacon's message reached Earth in the middle of the night. Admiral Choi Min-ho was sleeping in his quarters when the emergency alarm woke him. He had been the supreme commander of the human defense fleet for 10 years, but he had never heard this particular alarm before. It was the sound that meant humanity's worst nightmare had come true. Someone had attacked human civilians. Within minutes, Choi was in the war room deep beneath Earth's surface. The room was filled with officers running back and forth, checking reports and preparing for something that had never happened before. Humanity had never been attacked by aliens. Until now. Report, Choi ordered as he entered the room. General Yoon Hanul, the director of Human Special Operations, turned to face him. Her face was pale, but her eyes were filled with cold anger. Sir, we received a quantum beacon signal from the Harmony's Edge 47 minutes ago. The message was simple. Help us. We have had no further contact. Dr. Lim Junseo, their chief strategic analyst, pulled up a holographic display showing the last known position of the research ship. He was a thin man with gray hair, but his mind was sharp as a knife. The ship was on approach to Zephyr Station for diplomatic talks with the Galactic Council. Based on the beacon's location, they were captured somewhere in neutral space. Choi studied the display. He had known Captain Lee for many years. Lee was a good man, a peaceful man who believed in diplomacy and friendship between species. If Lee had activated the quantum beacon, it meant something terrible had happened. What do we know about the attackers? Choi asked. Unknown, sir. But the beacon included sensor data from the last few minutes. 20 warships, mixed species. This was not pirates or a random attack. This was planned. Yoon stepped forward. Sir, there's more. Our intelligence networks are reporting unusual military movements throughout Council space. Ships moving to attack positions. Communication blackouts in several systems. This looks like preparation for a larger operation. Choi was quiet for a long moment. Around him, officers waited for orders. They all knew what this meant. For 50 years, humanity had tried to be peaceful neighbors in the galaxy. They had shared technology, helped other species with disasters, and always tried to solve problems with words instead of weapons. But humans had not forgotten how to fight. They had just been very good at hiding their true military strength. Activate. Protocol 7, Choi said quietly. Everyone in the room froze. Protocol 7 was humanity's darkest secret. It was the plan they hoped they would never use. The plan for total war. Sir, Dr. Lim said carefully. Protocol 7 means revealing everything. All our hidden military assets, all our secret weapons. Once we do this, there's no going back to peaceful relations. Choi turned to look at him. Doctor, they captured 347 human civilians who were on a diplomatic mission. They took our scientists, our doctors, our diplomats, people who came in peace to learn and help others. There are already no peaceful relations. He walked to the main command console and placed his hand on a scanner. His authorization alone was not enough for Protocol 7. General Yoon placed her hand on another scanner. Dr. Lim, reluctantly, placed his hand on the third. The computer's voice was calm and emotionless. Protocol 7 authorized. Awakening. Sleeping assets. Estimated time to full operational status. 72 hours. Across human space, things began to happen that no alien had ever seen. On colony worlds that seemed to be simple farming planets, the ground opened up to reveal massive shipyards. Ships that had been hidden underground for decades rose to the surface. On space stations that appeared to be research facilities, weapons systems came online. Peaceful cargo ships suddenly showed their true nature as they deployed military equipment that had been hidden in their holds. The colony ships that had carried humans to 30 worlds were revealed to be something else entirely. They were mobile military bases, designed to support war fleets far from Earth. Each one contained enough weapons and supplies to support a full battle group. Admiral Choi watched the reports come in from across human space. In 72 hours, humanity would have the largest and most advanced military fleet in the galaxy. But that was not enough. The aliens had taken human civilians. They would pay for that mistake. General Yoon, he said, I want special operations, teams ready for deep penetration missions. If our people are being held prisoner, we need to know where and how to get them out. Already on it, sir. I have teams preparing for insertion into council space. They'll be ready to move as soon as we locate the Harmony's edge. Dr. Lim was studying intelligence reports from their spy networks. Sir, I'm seeing patterns in the alien military movements. This is not just about our ship. They're positioning forces for a much larger operation. I think they're planning to attack multiple human colonies. Choi nodded. He had expected this. They want to test us. They want to see how we react when pushed. They think they can control us through fear and violence. He turned to address the entire war room. Listen carefully, all of you. The aliens think they know what humans are. They think we are weak because we prefer peace. They think we can be broken because we care about each other. They are about to learn that they are wrong. On the main screen, a map of the galaxy appeared. Human space was marked in blue, council space in red. The areas where human civilians might be held were marked in yellow. We are not going to respond with anger. We are not going to charge in without thinking. We are going to show them what humans really are when we stop being polite. We are going to show them precision. We are going to show them planning. We are going to show them why Earth's apex predators ruled their planet for thousands of years. The room was silent except for the sound of computers processing the flood of new data coming in from across human space. Ships were launching. Weapons were being loaded. Soldiers were preparing for war. But this would not be like any war the galaxy had ever seen. This would be a human war, fought with human tactics, human technology, and human determination. Sir, a communications officer called. Outway, we're receiving a transmission from council space. It's being broadcast on all frequencies. The main screen changed to show the Velthari Emperor. He looked pleased with himself, like a predator who had caught easy prey. People of Earth, the Emperor said, his voice full of false sympathy. Your research vessel has been detained for questioning. Your people are safe, but they are now part of an important scientific study. We are testing human psychological responses to stress. Do not attempt any rescue operations. Any aggressive action will result in the immediate execution of all prisoners. The transmission ended. The war room was completely quiet. Admiral Choi smiled for the first time since the crisis began. It was not a pleasant smile. Did you hear that? He asked the room. They think this is a scientific study. They think they can threaten to kill our people and we will do nothing." He paused. "They wanted to test us. They're about to learn why the galaxy fears what happens when humans stop being polite." He turned to his staff. 72 hours. In 72 hours, we show them what humans really are. And may God have mercy on their souls, because we won't." The countdown had begun. Humanity was waking up from 50 years of peaceful sleep. And when humans woke up angry, entire civilizations learned to regret their mistakes. The aliens wanted a test. They were about to get one they would never forget. Commander Kim Tae-woo floated in the cold darkness of space, his stealth suit keeping him alive as alien patrol ships passed nearby. He had been drifting for 6 hours since escaping from the prison transport that was carrying him, and 12 other survivors from the Harmony's edge. The escape had been bloody. The aliens had underestimated human determination and creativity. While they were busy torturing the officers to break their spirits, Kim and his team had been studying their captors, learning their weaknesses, and planning their revenge. Now, he was free, and he had work to do. His suit's computer showed him the locations of nearby human ships. The rescue fleet had arrived in the system 2 days ago, but they were not charging in like angry animals. They were doing what humans did best. They were hunting. Captain An Soo-jin commanded the stealth destroyer Silent Vengeance, one of 12 ships that had entered Council space without being detected. Her ship was invisible to alien sensors, using technology that the Council had never seen before. "Commander Kim, this is Silent Vengeance. We have your location, preparing to bring you aboard." Kim smiled as the destroyer appeared beside him, its stealth fields dropping just long enough to pull him inside. As soon as he was safe, the ship vanished again from all sensors. On the bridge, Captain An greeted him with a grim smile. "Commander, good to see you alive. How many of our people are still prisoner?" 334 last count. They're being held on a prison station in the Velthari home system. The aliens are... Kim's voice became cold and hard. "They're torturing them, Captain. They want to see how much pain humans can take before we break." An's eyes flashed with anger, but her voice stayed calm. "They picked the wrong species to test, Commander. What can you tell us about their defenses?" Kim pulled up everything he had learned during his captivity. Guard rotations, weapon positions, computer systems, patrol routes. The aliens thought they were so superior to humans that they had not bothered to hide their operations from their prisoners. That was a mistake they would regret. While Kim briefed the rescue team, Lieutenant Commander Oh Ji-woo was already deep inside enemy territory. She had infiltrated a Council military base on the planet Zerion, disguised as a maintenance worker. The aliens barely looked at their own workers, making it easy for a skilled human operative to blend in. Oh had been studying the alien computer networks for 3 days, learning their systems and preparing for the attack that was coming. She was not just gathering information, she was planting surprises. Engineer Nam Ki-tae was working with her, using his knowledge of alien technology to create chaos in their communication networks. Nam was a genius with computers, and he had spent years learning how alien systems worked. Now he was turning that knowledge into a weapon. "Their quantum communication network has a weakness," Nam explained to Oh as they worked in the base's computer center. "They use a centralized control system. If we can insert our virus at the right moment, we can shut down communications across their entire empire." Oh nodded as she placed another device into the computer core. "How long will it take?" "Once we activate it, their entire network will be down for at least 6 hours, maybe longer if they can't figure out what we did to them." 6 hours was exactly what the human fleet needed. Back in human space, Admiral Choi was coordinating the largest military operation in human history. The aliens thought they were testing a few hundred human prisoners. They had no idea that humanity had mobilized every resource they had. The human fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships that looked like peaceful research vessels were revealed to be advanced warships. Technology that seemed impossible was working perfectly, and every single human in space was focused on one goal: bringing their people home. "Admiral," reported Captain Lee Sung-min from the battleship Righteous Fury. All fleets are in position. We have forces in 17 council systems, all undetected. We're ready to begin Operation Homecoming. Choi studied the tactical display. The aliens controlled thousands of systems. But humans had learned something important during their 50 years in space. They had learned to think like their prey. Begin Phase 1, Choi ordered. Across Council space, alien bases began to experience problems. Computer systems crashed for no reason. Communication networks went silent. Patrol ships found their weapons offline when they tried to investigate strange sensor readings. The aliens had superior numbers, but humans had superior planning. Every attack was precise, calculated, and perfectly timed. While the Council military scrambled to understand what was happening, human forces were already moving to the next target. On the prison station holding the Harmony's Edge crew, Velthari guards were getting nervous. Their communication with Fleet Command had been cut 3 hours ago. Their computer systems were showing errors they had never seen before, and their sensors kept detecting movement in space that disappeared when they tried to get a closer look. Commander, Kim was leading the assault team that would free the prisoners. He knew the station's layout perfectly, and he had a personal score to settle with their captors. Remember, he told his team as their stealth transport approached the station, our people have been tortured for days. They're weak and frightened. We get them out first, then we deal with the aliens. The transport docked silently with the station's maintenance bay. Kim and his team moved through the corridors like shadows, their advanced equipment making them nearly invisible to the alien guards. When they reached the prison block, Kim felt his anger rise. The cells were designed to break human spirits, too small, too cold, filled with sounds meant to drive prisoners insane. But as he looked at the prisoners, he saw something that made him proud to be human. They had not been broken. Despite days of torture, despite being far from home and facing an unknown fate, the crew of the Harmony's Edge were still taking care of each other. Dr. Park was treating wounded prisoners with supplies she had somehow obtained. Captain Lee was quietly organizing the others, keeping their spirits up with stories and jokes. They were still human, still caring, still strong. This is Commander Kim, he whispered to Captain Lee through the cell door. We're here to take you home. Lee's eyes filled with tears of relief, but his voice was steady. My crew first, Commander. Get them out before you worry about me. That was exactly what Kim had expected him to say. The rescue took 20 minutes. 20 minutes to free 334 human prisoners and evacuate them to the waiting transport. The alien guards never knew what hit them. As the transport pulled away from the station, Kim activated a present he had left behind. The prison station's power core would overload in exactly 10 minutes, giving the human ships time to escape, but ensuring that the aliens would never use that place to hurt anyone again. Captain Lee, weak from his captivity but still thinking clearly, looked at Kim with concern. Commander, how many ships did humanity send to rescue us? Kim smiled. All of them, Captain. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon we have. You're civilians, sir. You came in peace. When someone hurts our civilians, when someone hurts people who came in peace, humanity responds with everything we have. Lee was quiet for a moment. Then he asked the question Kim had been expecting. What happens now? Kim's smile became cold. Now, Captain, the aliens learn why the ancient warning said never to test humans. They wanted to see what we really are. We're about to show them. The rescue was complete, but the war was just beginning. The aliens had tested humanity and found them to be exactly what the old warnings had said: protectors of the innocent, friends to those who came in peace, and absolutely lethal to those who threatened the people they cared about. The storm had broken, and the galaxy would never be the same. Dr. Seo In-kyung had been a prisoner for 8 days when everything changed. She was the ship's chief medical officer, and even in captivity, she could not stop being a healer. When her Velthari guard collapsed from some kind of alien illness, she did not hesitate to help him. The other prisoners thought she was crazy. This creature had helped torture them, had watched their friends suffer, had shown no mercy. Why would she save his life? Because that's what humans do, she said simply as she worked to stabilize the guard's condition. We help those who need help, even our enemies. The guard survived. When he woke up, he stared at Seo with confusion and something that might have been shame. Why? He asked in broken human language. Why help me? Seo smiled sadly. Because you were dying, and I'm a doctor. It's what I do. Word of this spread through the prison station. Other guards came to watch the human doctor work. They had been told that humans were violent, dangerous creatures who would kill without mercy if given the chance. Instead, they saw a woman who risked her own safety to save the life of someone who had hurt her. Professor Baek Dong-hyun was in another section of the prison, and he was doing something equally unexpected. He was teaching. The young Chirik guards were curious about human culture. They had never met humans before this mission, and what they were seeing did not match what their leaders had told them. So Baek began telling them stories. He told them about human history, about wars and peace, about art and science and music. He explained how humans had learned to work together despite their differences. He taught them human songs and showed them human games. Your leaders say we are monsters, Baek said to a group of guards who had gathered to listen. But look around you. Are we acting like monsters? The guards looked at their prisoners. They saw Dr. Seo caring for anyone who was hurt regardless of species. They saw Captain Lee organizing the prisoners to share food and comfort each other. They saw humans who had been tortured and abused still showing kindness and hope. Major Hwang So-young, the ship's security chief, was organizing something different. She was planning resistance, but not the kind the aliens expected. Instead of violence, she was organizing civil disobedience. When the guards ordered the prisoners to fight each other for entertainment, they refused. When they were told to beg for food, they shared what little they had instead. When the aliens tried to turn them against each other by offering special treatment to some, they turned it down. We stand together, Hwang told her fellow prisoners. That's what humans do. We protect each other and we never leave anyone behind. The aliens had expected the humans to break under pressure. They had expected fear, anger, desperation. Instead, they got something they had never seen before: moral strength that grew stronger under pressure. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, human forces were demonstrating a different kind of strength. The war was going unlike anything in galactic history. Human fleets moved like ghosts through space, appearing where they were not expected, striking with precision, then vanishing before the enemy could respond. They did not attack civilian targets, they did not destroy planets. Instead, they surgically removed military threats while leaving everything else untouched. Admiral Choi was directing the campaign from his flagship, and he was amazed at what he was seeing in the reports. Human forces were not just winning battles, they were winning hearts and minds. Admiral, reported Captain Park Min-jae from the cruiser Swift Justice, the Qatar Third Fleet has surrendered. Their commander says they refuse to fight for a cause that involves torturing innocent people. Sir, added Commander Yoon Hye-jin from the destroyer Quiet Thunder, 3 more Council species have contacted us requesting protection. They want to leave the Council and join our side. Choi studied the tactical reports. In just 1 week, humanity had not only rescued their captured people, but had begun dismantling the entire Council military structure. And they were doing it while showing more restraint and honor than any military force in galactic history. Captain Park, accept the SS Qatar surrender. Offer them medical aid and safe passage home. Commander Yoon, tell those species that humanity protects anyone who comes to us in peace. The aliens were learning something that they had never expected. Humans were not just superior warriors, they were superior beings. They combined overwhelming force with unwavering moral principles in a way that no other species had ever managed. On the Council worlds, civilian populations were watching the war unfold and asking questions their leaders did not want to answer. Why had they attacked peaceful humans? Why were they torturing scientists and doctors? And why were the humans, who had every right to seek terrible revenge, showing more mercy than the Council ever had? The old Kethamori leader who had warned against testing humans was proved right in ways he had never imagined. The ancient warnings spoke of human military might, but they had not mentioned human compassion. The combination was devastating to the Council's moral authority. Back on the prison station, the rescued human prisoners were being treated aboard human medical ships. But instead of leaving immediately, they were doing something unexpected. They were broadcasting. Captain Lee, still weak but determined, spoke directly to the galaxy via quantum communication networks that human forces had captured. "My name is Captain Lee Daeho. 8 days ago, my crew and I were captured while on a diplomatic mission. We were tortured, threatened, and treated as test subjects. But I want the galaxy to know something important." The transmission was being received on thousands of worlds across Council space. "We came in peace. We still believe in peace. What happened to us was wrong, but we will not let it make us into monsters. We are still the same humans who offered friendship to every species we met. We are still the same humans who shared our technology and helped other worlds in crisis. We are still the same humans who believe that the galaxy is better when we all work together." Lee paused, gathering his strength. "To those who ordered our capture, who thought they could break our spirits and control our people through fear, you failed. You did not break us. You did not make us hate. You only showed the galaxy who you really are and who we really are." The transmission ended, but its effects spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On Council worlds, civilian populations began demanding answers. Why had their leaders attacked these people? Why had they tortured scientists and diplomats? The moral authority of the Council was collapsing faster than their military forces. Dr. Seo, now safe aboard a human medical ship, continued treating patients, including wounded Council soldiers who had been captured during the fighting. When asked why she helped her former captors, her answer was simple. "They're hurt, and I'm a doctor. It doesn't matter what they did. It matters what I do." Professor Baek was already planning cultural exchange programs with the species that had joined humanity's side. Major Huang was working with human intelligence to ensure that no other species would suffer what they had suffered. But the most important thing they were doing was simply being human. In the face of cruelty, they had shown kindness. In the face of hate, they had shown love. In the face of attempts to break their spirits, they had shown that human spirits could not be broken. The galaxy was watching, and the galaxy was learning. Humans were not just powerful, they were right. They were not just superior warriors, they were superior people. The aliens had wanted to test humanity. The test was over, and humanity had passed with perfect marks. But the exam was not finished. Yet, the final question remained: what would humans do with their victory? The answer would reshape the galaxy forever. President Kong Yuri stood before the largest gathering of alien species in galactic history. The Great Assembly Hall on the neutral world of Haven was filled with representatives from over 200 different civilizations. Some came willingly, eager to hear what the humans had to say. Others came because they had no choice. Their military forces had been defeated, their leaders captured, and their worlds now under human protection. Kong was not what the aliens had expected. She was small, quiet, and spoke with the soft voice of a teacher rather than the harsh commands of a conqueror. But every being in that hall knew that she represented the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen. "My friends," she began, and many in the audience were surprised that she called them friends after everything that had happened. "We are here today because some of you made a terrible mistake. You thought you could test humanity by hurting our people. You thought you could learn our weaknesses by torturing our civilians." The silence in the hall was complete. Everyone was listening. "You learned something, but it was not what you expected. You learned that humans will go to any length to protect the innocent. You learned that we will cross the galaxy to save our people. You learned that we combine military strength with moral principles in ways that you did not think possible." Ambassador Xin Wujin, sitting in the front row, watched the alien representatives carefully. Some looked ashamed, others looked afraid, a few still looked angry and defiant. Those would be the ones who needed the most convincing. "But today is not about the past," Kong continued. "Today is about the future. Today we decide what kind of galaxy we want to live in." She activated a holographic display that showed the current state of galactic politics. Human space was marked in blue, and it had grown enormously in just 2 weeks. Dozens of species had asked for human protection. Hundreds of worlds had requested to join the human sphere of influence. The old Galactic Council is finished. Its moral authority died the moment it decided to torture innocent people for scientific experiments. But we are not here to replace one tyranny with another. We are here to build something new. Kong looked directly at the Velthari delegation. The proud emperor was gone, replaced by a humble ambassador who had begged for mercy for his people. Humanity could rule this galaxy by force. We have proven that we have the military power to defeat anyone who opposes us. But that is not what we want. We want what we have always wanted: peace, friendship, and cooperation between all species. The bird-like Chirrut representative stood up nervously. President Kong, what do you want from us? Kong smiled, and her expression was genuinely warm. What we have always wanted, Ambassador. We want to be friends. We want to trade with you, learn from you, and help you when you need help. We want to explore the galaxy together and build a future where all species can thrive. But, added Ambassador Shin, standing to address the crowd, there will be rules, new rules that everyone must follow. The main display changed to show a simple document. It was not long or complicated, but every word had been chosen carefully. The first rule, Shin announced, is that no species may attack civilian ships or non-combatant personnel of any other species. What was done to the Harmony's Edge was an act of pure evil, and it will never happen again. Murmurs of agreement came from many parts of the hall. The species that had opposed the attack on humans were nodding their approval. The second rule is that all disputes between species must be settled through negotiation and diplomacy. If negotiation fails, disputes will be settled by an independent council of neutral species. No more wars of conquest. No more attempts to dominate others through force. The third rule, President Kong said, taking over again, is that any species that requests protection will receive it. Humanity will use its military strength to defend those who cannot defend themselves. We will be the shield that protects the weak from the strong. An elderly representative from the Kethmori civilization stood up slowly. His people had tried to warn the council about attacking humans, and they had been ignored. President Kong, the old alien said, your words are generous, but what guarantee do we have that humanity will not become the very thing you are replacing? Power corrupts all species. How do we know that you will not become tyrants yourselves? Kong looked at him with respect. Elder, that is the most important question anyone has asked today, and I have an answer. She gestured toward the back of the hall, where a group of humans was sitting quietly. They were the survivors of the Harmony's Edge, led by Captain Lee Daeho. These are the people who were tortured for 8 days. They were hurt, threatened, and treated like animals. If anyone has the right to demand revenge, it is them. Captain Lee, would you please address the assembly? Lee stood up slowly. He was still recovering from his injuries, but he walked to the speaking platform with dignity and strength. When he reached the microphone, he looked out at the thousands of aliens who had gathered to hear humanity's demands. My name is Captain Lee Daeho, he said simply. Some of you know my story. Some of you were involved in what happened to my crew. I want to tell you what we learned during our captivity. Behind the IE hall was completely silent. We learned that some species are capable of great cruelty. We learned that some beings will hurt others just to see what happens. We learned that the galaxy can be a dangerous place for those who come in peace. Lee paused, looking directly at Tiu, the former council species. But we also learned something else. We learned that even in the darkest moments, humans do not lose their humanity. We learned that even when we are afraid and in pain, we still help each other. We still care for those who are hurt, even if they are our enemies. We still believe in the possibility of peace. He turned to address the entire assembly. I was asked what humanity wants. I will tell you. We want to go back to being explorers and scientists and diplomats. We want to return to the work of building friendship between species. We want to help the galaxy become a place where any being can travel in peace, knowing that they will be protected from those who would hurt them. Lee's voice grew stronger as he continued. But we also learned that peace is not free. Peace must be protected. There must be consequences for those who choose violence over diplomacy, who choose cruelty over kindness. Humanity is willing to be those consequences. The captain looked around the hall one more time. To those species who come in peace, who want friendship and cooperation, humanity offers everything we have: our knowledge, our resources, our protection. To those who would hurt the innocent, who would prey on the weak, who would choose violence over peace, Lee's voice became cold as ice. We offer a different kind of lesson. The hall erupted in discussion as Lee returned to his seat. Some species were openly pledging their support for the new order. Others were asking questions about how the new system would work. A few were still trying to argue that the old council had been right to test humanity. President Kong called for quiet. "The choice is simple," she announced. "Join us in building a peaceful galaxy, or face the consequences of choosing violence. We would prefer that everyone choose peace." Ambassador Shin activated another display, showing human military forces across the galaxy. The numbers were staggering. In just 2 weeks, humanity had deployed more military power than the rest of the galaxy combined. But, Shin added quietly, "we are prepared for either choice." Over the next 6 hours, representatives from 187 different species signed the new Galactic Charter. They agreed to the rules, accepted human protection, and pledged to work together for peace. 13 species refused to sign. They left the assembly hall believing that they could still win through violence and deception. Within 48 hours, all 13 species had surrendered unconditionally. Human forces had moved with such speed and precision that most of their military forces were captured before they could fire a shot. The message was clear: resistance was futile, but cooperation was welcomed with open arms. 6 months later, Captain Lee stood on the bridge of his new ship, the Second Chances. He had been promoted to admiral and given command of humanity's diplomatic fleet. His mission was the same as it had always been: to explore the galaxy and make friends with new species. But now he carried new authority. The ship was armed with weapons that could destroy entire fleets if necessary. Not because humanity wanted to use them, but because the galaxy needed to know that the protectors of peace were strong enough to keep that peace. "Admiral," reported his communications officer, Lieutenant Han So-min, "we're receiving a distress call from the Andrian system. Pirates are attacking civilian cargo ships." Lee smiled. This was exactly the kind of mission the Second Chances was built for. Set course for Andrian, maximum speed, and send a message to the pirates. "What should the message say, sir?" Lee's smile became dangerous. "Tell them that humanity protects those who come in peace. If they surrender immediately and release their captives, they will be treated with mercy. If they choose to continue their attacks..." He paused, remembering the words that had become humanity's new motto. "Tell them that we are friends to those who come in peace and death to those who threaten the innocent. Their choice." The Second Chances jumped to faster than light speed.